Oh, what a glorious of times to be a fellow aristocrat! My fellow gorillas, the new patch is here, and with it comes the new Berserker technique changes, and they are amazing! I haven't gotten a chance to dive deep into the patch yet, but I was able to put together this damage comparison of what it was like before and what's it like after the new BT changes. For comparison, I have the exact same gear, engraving, stats, gems, and cards on the day of the patch as I did the day before. I am running Salvation, so I made sure that I did my testing at full 20 stacks to avoid any variations, and I went into the engraving setting in Trixion to mimic Yearning and having a support mana buff. Starting off with the easiest and what I believe is the most insignificant change, and it is the extra damage on Overdrive. With Red Dust active, I saw around 6 million damage difference. It's nice, but it's not anything to write home about. Next up is the big change, which is where we got the new tripod for Hellblade that made the skill a game changer. We now get Burst Enhancement, which resets Hellblade's cooldown when activating Rage Mode while providing the same amount of bonus damage as the old tripod it replaced. However, the damage only kicks in when you go Berserk. This is sorta important because Hellblade meter generation is sorta based on its damage, and so now its meter generation is nowhere near what it used to be. Don't know what Saint was smoking when he told me that Hellblade meter generation is good, because before it was on par with Windblade. Now, at its best, it's just alright. But now we get to run Bloody Eruption, which more than makes up for it. There is a very significant damage difference when you switch over to Bloody Eruption though, as high as 22 million, but the 12-second cooldown reduction and the fact you are almost guaranteed to always land the new Hellblade within the Red Dust window means over the course of a fight, this new setup will easily out DPS the old one. Next up is the big change, the 8-second Red Dust. Oh my god, this is such a huge window, it is unbelievable. To showcase this, I decided to compare the damage using the old Red Dust rotation, which includes Finishing Strike, Overdrive, and Bloody Rush, and compare it to the new rotation, which includes Hellblade at the end. In the old rotation, the damage is kinda close, and the only reason there is a 40 million damage difference here is because of the 9% crit rate difference. But in all the testing I did, the average for this particular rotation was around 20 million, which is due to the flat damage buff to both Bloody Rush and Overdrive. Next, I used the new rotation, which is basically the old one but with Hellblade included. Again, the damage difference was only around 20 million. That's because the old Hellblade hits much harder than the new one. But you have to remember that in the new rotation, the Hellblade's cooldown is 12 seconds less, which allows it to sync up with all your skills, and the skill has a much faster animation, meaning you will get to fire out a lot more of these during actual raids, will always have Red Dust buff when you fire them, and have a much higher chance of landing all the hits because of the quicker animation. You will see it in the 2-minute damage cycle coming up next. So in the 2-minute cycle, I noticed the new build takes a bit longer to get into Rage Mode, because you have to fit Hellblade into the meter build rotation in order to take advantage of the new reset feature. Also, I felt some of the other abilities were giving less meter as well, but I can't confirm it. It got me a little concerned, because the biggest reason BT Zerker is C tier is that we are a very low range class with a huge lack of mobility, which is a big issue when it comes to tackling the current content. And we lack mobility the most when we are outside of Berserk mode. So the longer it takes us to go Berserk, the more vulnerable we are and the less damage we do. However, because of how well all the skills sync up now and the reduced cooldown options that are now open to us, I found that it's a lot easier and faster to get back into Berserk mode after you burn through your first activation. You will see it once this one runs out. In the old build, the biggest damage loss happened after your first activation of Berserk. The way all the skill cooldowns lined up back then would often result in maybe only 1 or 2 skills being ready when Berserk mode ended, and everything else would be on a 10 to 15 second cooldown. This created huge downtimes of almost 0 damage, like how it happens here in a second. But as you saw here, we got back into Berserk mode much faster than the old version. At the end of the 2 minutes, it seems like there is a 1.3 million DPS difference, which is already pretty good, but because of all the changes I mentioned previously, I suspect this difference will only grow larger and larger in longer fights. Just look at how many Hellblades I did. I was able to fit at least 5 more Hellblades in the new cycle. That alone will increase our damage significantly in raids. All in all, I'm very happy with the new changes, and now I can see why Saint Tome went with the hallucination set. You can run swiftness with it, which gives you mobility that really helps a lot in all the modern raids, and the extra cooldown reduction makes sure that all your meter generation skills are ready to go sooner when you exit Berserk mode, thereby reducing the time you spend mimicking a sack of wet noodles. I can't wait to try this new zerker in a raid, and I will post my first raid whenever I get a chance. And I'm pretty sure I will switch over to hallucination once I find the accessories for it. I tried it in Trixion and it felt smooth, like buttery smooth. Yeah. Anyway, let me know if there's anything you want me to try or test before you jealous monkey hams decide to join us aristocrats in the new age of the gorilla berserker. Just kidding. Peace.